Hi Enrico, thanks for asking me to do the analysis for you. It's my pleasure. I'll try and speak nice and clearly and slowly so that you are able to understand it. Looking at your stroke, it looks really nice. You've developed it really nicely. I assume you've been swimming quite a long time, or you've had some coaching, because there's some really nice elements to your stroke. The first element that I can see that's really nice is your body position in the water. You're sitting really nice and high and horizontal. Um, your your feet don't kick really deep in, and your legs don't sink, which is really great to see. And you're really nice and stable in the water. Um, so body position is definitely something that you can tick off the list as it's looking really, really good. The kick itself is looking good. It's a well-developed 6-beat kick. You haven't got excessive bend in the knee. You've got a slight bend, which is what we would expect. Your ankles are nice and relaxed. So your kick is very effective at generating lift, and that's contributing to your good body position in the water. Your feet stay nice and close together, so that's good. And that's contributing to really good streamline in the water. So I like to say to swimmers to imagine that you're swimming that your body is in a tube going through the water, and we want to make sure that your legs stay in that tube, so you don't kick deeper than your hips, and you don't kick wider than your hips, as that would significantly slow you down and cause drag. So kick's looking excellent. I wonder if you're training for longer distance swimming, that perhaps you might want to consider reducing the strength of the leg kick a little bit, just to help with energy economy. And with the tune-ups that you can make to your stroke, which I'll come on to, you might find that that will be more energy efficient overall. So kick looking good. One thing we can see from this side view is that you have got a very nice reach out in front of you from the shoulder, and on the other side you've got a nice reach. But do you see how your fingertips actually enter the water on your right side slightly higher than your shoulder, and then they extend out very straight, and actually your arm extends quite straight on both sides. And you see here that your elbow has actually come below your wrist. Now that will have a little bit of a negative effect on your catch, and I'll come on to that in a moment. And what we should be aiming for is actually to try and get the arm into this kind of position when you're entering the water, rather than the fingertips going horizontal. The reason for that is that that allows you to effectively start catching the water earlier, and enables a much more powerful catch and pull through. And so we'll just double check what's happening on the other side. As you breathe, you lock the left elbow out straight, and then we'll see from the front that actually leads you into quite a straight arm catch. So I'll just come and open your front view, and you'll see how the depth of your hand entry and the length of your extension affects your catch. So this is your right hand. Your right hand enters the water, your arm's quite straight. You've got your fingertips angling down, which is good. And then do you see how you actually sweep quite wide there? Wider than the shoulder. Now what we want to be aiming for is a catch more like this, so 90 to 100 degrees. If I just show you what that should look like, what you're hoping to achieve. This is Shelley Taylor-Smith, 7 times world marathon swimming champion, and she has a slightly wider catch because she swims in the sea very often, and her races are often in the sea. So if you think about a paddle on a kayak, it would be quite wide for balance, so that's why she has that catch adaptation. But you can see the difference between what she's doing and what you're doing, and your hand has come much wider than your shoulder or elbow, and that leads to a little bit of a ineffective catch, because it means that you end up pushing water in a bit of an arc. So you're pushing out to the side, then pressing backwards at the side, and then you bring the hand in, and that's the right position for the hand to be in now, and then you press back. So that last phase of the stroke is quite good. A little bit short perhaps, you can see the elbows coming out the water, and we'll have a look at that from the side again in a moment, but just staying on the catch. Try and keep the elbow where it is, but the hand more in this position, so more in line with the shoulder or in line with the elbow, as Shelley does. The reason for that is that it allows you to press water backwards in a straight line under the body. So Shelley's catch is pressing like this, and your catch actually presses outwards and then backwards. And so you're pushing the water back in an arc rather than in a straight line. I'll just screenshot that again for you. And then you can print that out and compare it and stick it on your fridge. So if I show you Shelley's catch from the side, you can really see the effect of spearing in with the fingertips angled straight down, and then she keeps her elbow really nice and high, and that enables her to be pressing water backwards with the forearm and the hand, and she presses water all the way back past her hip. And I just want to have a look at your side view again and just check on that length at the back. So on your, this is your left arm, it's just a little bit short. You can see that you're probably being propulsive to about there, and then you stop. So I think you could perhaps push back to more like there, more like mid-thigh, and give yourself about this much more distance per stroke, so nearly a foot you could push back further on that side. Just go back a few frames on here, so you can see her palm presses water back right to her mid-thigh, and that would just give you a little bit more stroke length and distance per stroke. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. It's hard to see because I've only got the side view of your left arm exiting the water, but I can see where the elbow's coming out on that side, and I think probably the hand is the stroke length on that left side looks even shorter than on the right side. Let's have a look at this front view again. So you're propulsive to about there, and then your elbow lifts up. And then actually, can you see your hand exits where your ribs are on that side? And so the stroke length is quite short on the right side. And possibly that would have been caused if you were trying to do finger drag drill, where you push back and then try and drag your fingers in a straight line from your hip back to your hand entry point in order to try and get a high elbow recovery. Now, in long distance freestyle strokes, we're not necessarily looking for a very high elbow recovery. If you have one and it works for you, then that's fine. But what I often find is if people do increase their stroke length, so they push back further past the hip and exit the hand at mid-thigh, then that naturally leads you into more of a swinging arm recovery, more like this. And if you're training for a triathlon or long distance open water swimming, and even long distance freestyle in the pool, you often see people with this stroke style and this arm recovery style. Now, one of the key differences between your stroke and Mel's stroke here is the rhythm. Can you see how fast her arms are going around? So this is about 80, 85 strokes per minute. Excuse me, I just need to get a glass of water. So her rhythm is much quicker than yours. Let's just take your rhythm. So you're on about 64 strokes per minute, which is, it's okay. It's serving you well, but I think if we tuned up your catch a little bit more and we spent a little bit less time trying to reach forwards and extend the arm, then we could get into the propulsive phase of the stroke, which starts about here. So when your fingertips have angled down and your elbow has started to bend, that's when you become propulsive. So you can see when your arm enters, if you just look at the time here, your hand enters at 0.52 and you start pushing water backwards now. So that's 1.03. So that's half a second that your left arm is stretching forwards for before you start pushing the water backwards. On your right arm, it's 0.55 when your hand enters the water, and you start being propulsive there. So 2.03. So on both hands, you can see there's half a second where the arm isn't doing anything that's actually benefiting the stroke. Your hand enters the water, but it doesn't need to spend time stretching forwards because that's not achieving anything. So that is doing what we call glide, where you're riding the push of the opposite arm pull to go forwards, but we don't really need to be gliding quite so long. So what I suggest is that we try and get into the catch a little bit quicker so that each stroke takes less time, and that would increase your stroke rate. I hope that makes sense, and I can help clarify if you need me to. I'll come on to how we do that in a moment. Now, looking at your front view, overhead, sorry, you can see you're actually really nice and straight. So you're rotating on that axis really nicely. You're not snaking from side to side. There's a little bit of current that's taking you ever so slightly off that line with the jet from the endless pool. But you've got really good core stability, and you're able to maintain that straight line very effectively. What we could perhaps try and do is just enter the water slightly wider. So at the moment, your hand is entering here. So your arm has come across. It's not a bad crossover. It's just slightly off. So what we want to be aiming for is for your fingertips to enter the water in line with the shoulder. And that helps you to start the catch in the right place and start the catch quicker, because it takes time for your hand to move from this position, if we look at the clock, 3.68, into the start of the catch, which is here, 0.48, so about 0.408. So that's your half a second where you can you can improve to try and get the arm straight into this position, which it ends up in. On the right arm, it's a nice entry point, but do you see that the hand is angled in? So you're actually entering thumb first on that right side. And you can see that very high elbow recovery as well, and the fingertips very low to the water. And that leads you into a fingertips first hand entry, which you then quickly recover from. You level the hand out so the palm is facing downwards, but again you've come across the body a little bit, but you do then straighten that out to end up in the right place. So we need to do some drills with freestyler paddles. I'll just quickly show you those. So this is the equipment that we recommend that you purchase in order to improve your swimming. And these are the paddles, freestyler paddles. If you want to come on here and then click shop now, then that will take you to the exact link where you can buy the paddles that I recommend. So these paddles are designed to help you improve your hand entry. And the fin that you can see on the bottom there gives you feedback on whether you have entered the hand fingertips first or thumb first. So if you enter your hand thumb first while wearing these paddles, the water will, the fin on the bottom of the paddle will create resistance, and so you'll feel that the paddle isn't entering in a streamlined way, and it gets a bit stuck. And actually, because you've only got one point of attachment, with your middle finger through the loop here, the paddle will twist and rotate to the side, and it will feel very awkward. So it helps you to make a really quick change to your hand entry. The other reason that these would be very good paddles for you is to help you improve your stroke length at the back of your stroke. Because if you exit the water short and keep your fingertips down, you'll find that the paddle will get stuck at the back, kind of just by your waist, and so it will force you into more of a longer stroke at the back, and a straighter arm recovery, which will also help with your stroke timing and increasing your stroke rate. So they are the fins that the paddles, sorry, that I recommend that you buy. Breathing wise, you've got nice breathing timing, but you're only breathing to the right hand side. So you're breathing every 2 strokes to the right, and sometimes that can develop an asymmetrical stroke, so a stroke that isn't symmetrical. Yours isn't too bad, you have got quite good stroke symmetry, but you might find that if you wanted to do some racing in the sea, if there's waves coming from the right hand side, that you need to switch to breathing to the left. Now, I don't know whether you can breathe to the left. I assume you probably can, but it might be something to try and develop. If we go from the front, we can see your breathing pattern. I'll just zoom in a little bit, and then we can really focus on what your mouth is doing. So you're breathing in, breathing out a tiny bit, just as your head turns, and then you've got a small amount of bubbles coming out of your nose to stop the water going up your nose, but I can't see any bubbles continuing to be breathed out your mouth. Now, what we want it to look like is this. We always want bubbles coming out of your mouth the whole time, and that allows your body to get rid of carbon dioxide, which builds up in your blood, and allows you to stay more relaxed while you're swimming. If you do get a build-up of carbon dioxide in the blood, it prevents you from carrying oxygen, and so it makes you work harder and have higher perceived effort for swimming than the work that you're actually doing. So it makes swimming feel harder than it needs to. So what I recommend is that you breathe out continuously, as my swimmer is doing here, to help you to keep working at a moderate level and maintain a good effort. Now, sometimes breathing out like this, when you breathe every 2 strokes, it doesn't feel like long enough to breathe out, because what we're looking to try and do is empty the lungs nearly to the bottom, so that when you turn your head to breathe in, you get excuse me, a really nice, fresh, big breath of air filling your lungs. And that helps you to replenish oxygen nice and quickly and actually sustain a harder work rate. So your VO2 max is higher, which enables you to swim harder and sustain that harder effort. Now, if you're looking to try and increase the speed that you can swim over a longer distance, then I would definitely consider changing your breathing pattern to firstly exhale straight away, so no pause between when you take the breath in and when you breathe out, as you're doing here. There's a pause before you start to breathe out. And secondly, I would try and work on left-sided breathing and potentially integrate a bilateral pattern, whether that's breathing every 2-3, 2-3, or every 3 strokes as well. You'll have to experiment with that and let me know how you get on. So, coming on to drills that I would give you to improve your stroke. Firstly, I would get you to do what we call a sink down. Now, this helps you to learn to exhale straight away and to exhale fully, so you're getting rid of more air out of your lungs. Now try just to let your body sink. Try to let your arms stay nice and relaxed. And the exhalation will make you sink. Then you could practice these different breathing patterns. So this is breathing every 3 strokes. And this is, you can use a mantra called bubble, bubble, breathe for this. Bubble, bubble, breathe, bubble, bubble, breathe. Or perhaps adapt it to your language to give yourself a verbal reminder that you should be exhaling all of the time when you're not inhaling. So lots of bubbles all of the time. And then going on from that, you could do breathing every 3-5. So 3 strokes breathe, then 5 strokes breathe. And that helps you to practice getting rid of more air in between strokes. And helps you to learn just how much air you actually have stored in your lungs. And the aim is to try and get rid of the same amount of air that you do in 5 strokes in 3 strokes. So lots of air out between every breath in. And you could extend that even more if you wanted to by breathing every 3-5-7. You could try. So 3 strokes breathe, 5 strokes breathe, and then 7 strokes breathe. And he ran out of pool. But that's such a good exercise for you to learn just how much air that you can actually get rid of, and get comfortable getting rid of more air in between every breath. The next drill that you should try and do is called kick on the side. So here you're wearing fins, and I'll explain the type of fin that I recommend in a moment. And the aim of this drill is to keep this lead arm firstly in good alignment, and by that we mean the fingertips are in line with the shoulder. So it's hard to tell from this angle, but when I showed you your picture from here, if you were kicking on your side, you want to learn to keep your arm in alignment with the shoulder. If you can imagine that you have fins on here and you're kicking on your left side looking to the right. And this drill helps you to improve this crossover. So for your arm to learn to stay wider while your body is rotated. It also helps you to learn this good catch setup position. So can you see this swimmer has a little bit of a habit when he breathes to point the fingertips up, and you have the same habit. So what we want to try and do is get really used to keeping your fingertips below your wrist, the fingers beneath the wrist, and wrist beneath the elbow, and elbow beneath the shoulder, so that we're in this good catch setup position, not this position that we could see you were in. Well, you were locked straight. But we want to learn to get the arm into this position. The way that you do that is to slightly rotate the arm in from the shoulder and keep the inside of the elbow, so where your elbow bends, facing inwards instead of facing upwards, which yours does when you lock your arm out straight. So this is a really good exercise for you to improve your crossover and your catch setup position. You can also practice your really good breathing, because you can spend as long as you like exhaling and keeping the arm in the right position. So the most important drills for you, I think, are the sculling drills. So you have a pull buoy between your legs to hold your legs up, no kicking, and then, oh sorry, wrong drill, we'll come back to that one. So nice push off, and this drill helps you to learn to keep your arms, to keep your elbows high and wide, and to start to feel the water and feel when you get propulsive. So can you see his fingertips are beneath the wrists, and wrists beneath the elbow, elbow beneath the shoulder. And that helps him to use both the hands and the forearms, so inside of the arms, to be propulsive. And then when he goes into the stroke, he's feeling this section of the stroke here. He's feeling when his arm starts to be propulsive. And I recommend you do half a length of the skull 1, and then half a length into freestyle, so that you can really feel the drill and feel the effect that the drill has on the catch. The next drill I recommend is high elbow scull, or you might have heard it called scull 2. So push and glide, still with the pull buoy between your legs. Elbows really nice and high and wide. Fingers together, palms flat, and press the water side to side so that you're learning to be propulsive with your arm bent at this angle. And then when you go into freestyle, you can be more effective at using your forearm to catch. So I don't know if you can see here, but just to the right of the swimmer here, this is Jack Shaler. This is someone we've trained since he was 14, and he's now he's now European under-21 triathlon champion. And the reason is because he has a very strong catch. And can you see, I don't know if you can, he has also a minimal leg kick. He does kick, but it's a little bit. And this is how I would suggest you develop your stroke, like Jack's. The next drill is what I call penguin paddle. And a penguin is an animal that just uses its arms to swim. And in this drill, with both hands at the same time, push the water backwards with your palms all the way past your hips, and then when you go into freestyle, you can feel the water more in this phase of the stroke, so that you'll learn to have a longer stroke and to push the water further backwards. So again, you could do half a length of penguin paddle into freestyle and keep the pull buoy between your legs all the time. And that will really help you to feel a longer stroke. Now, a nice combination drill is this one. So this is called scull combo. So you do scull 1 or catch scull, into high elbow scull or scull 2, into penguin paddle or scull 3, and he's doing it with alternate arms, and then into freestyle. And that will really help you to feel just how powerful your catch can be, and it will also help you to speed up your stroke. A drill now to help you also with your pushback and with your recovery is single swinging arm, like this. I'm sure you've done single arm before. And you push all the way back. You can do this with or without fins. Push all the way back. Swing the arm nice and high. And then try and enter the water fingertips first. So you could do this with your freestyler paddle on to help you improve your hand entry on your right arm, so that you enter the water middle finger first instead of thumb first. And you could also do this on your left side to practice your left-sided breathing. Another drill that you could do to help you improve your swimming, your stroke rate, is water polo. So this helps you to start the catch straight away and increase your rhythm. So try and do it with your head up, and then go into freestyle straight away. So maybe half a length water polo, half a length freestyle, keeping your rhythm up. So keep your stroke rate up. That's all the drills for now that I think you would benefit from. You could do some swimming with these freestyler paddles. The other equipment I recommend for you is these agility paddles. These are really good for improving your catch mechanics. So because you've only got one point of attachment, so your thumb goes through the hole on the paddle and your palm goes flat, you have to push the water backwards in a straight line. Otherwise, you will lose the paddle. It will come off in the water. You have to swim with them to believe it, but it does. And that helps you to develop a positive palm pressure, pushing all the way backwards. And actually you can use them for all 4 strokes if you do other strokes as well. They come in different sizes, so depending on how strong you are, you might want medium or large. And a larger size would give you a bigger surface area and therefore help you to start swimming with more resistance and increase the strength of each of your arm pulls. So that might be something to consider as well. The fins that I recommend for you are this style, although your kick is okay, so you don't need to necessarily improve it too much, but the kicking drill where you kick on your side, you will need a longer style fin like this one. Otherwise you will have to kick very hard in order to get any propulsion. And I want to steer you away from kicking very hard to make sure that you will develop a light flutter kick and a stronger catch. So have a look on this website and click on your size. Just be careful on Amazon, if you are buying from Amazon, just to double check this sizing chart, because it can be a bit confusing. If you're not sure, then send me an email and send me what your size is. But probably best to use the European sizes here if you can convert from your language to European size. So I hope that's been helpful for you, and that you will that you have found that useful. Do let me know if you have any questions, and I can help. We offer lots of different types of training remotely, so you could I can write you some specific swimming sessions to help you improve. I'll show you an example. So for example, this might be a nice set to start you improving your breathing. So integrating sink downs, then doing some swimming, breathing every 3 strokes, then more sink downs, and then breathing every 5, and then practicing your bilateral breathing. So doing freestyle, thinking, bubble, bubble, breathe, freestyle with the pool boy, freestyle with the pool boy again, doing breathing every 3, 5, 3, 5. And then you can start integrating your side kicking as well into your swimming session. Obviously, some people find that it really helps to focus on one area of technique at a time in each session. So I wouldn't go to the pool now and try and fix everything all at once. I would try and fix your exhalation first, and then fix your alignment and your hand entry, and then fix your catch. And so if you want me to, I can write you specific sessions for each of those technique elements. And of course I also offer other type of training sessions. So CSS sessions are very, very useful. Let me see if I can find one. So this is a good CSS test to do. If you want to, you can screenshot from this this session now, and then do a CSS test. And then this is an example CSS session. CSS helps you to improve your threshold in swimming. So I don't know if you do much cycling at all, but cyclists like to improve their FTP, so their functional threshold power, and it's the same in swimming when you use this training method. So you're training your body's ability to sustain a harder effort and to sustain a faster swimming pace over a longer distance. So I can help you with that if you like. And so I can either write you individual sessions like this, they're £15 each, or I offer training plans. And we have different types of training plans available. We would need to have a consultation on FaceTime or on Skype, which would be £60, and then I would design you a program like this, either with running and cycling if you're doing that as well, or with just swimming. And if you look at the sessions here, you can see that the ticks are where the athlete completes the session, and then so they log in, they print the session, they go to the pool, swim the session, and then they come back onto here and give me feedback on how that session went. And they tell me how far they swam and how long it took. And then you can start recording your swimming volume over time, which is very helpful if you're training for something specific and you want to monitor your training load. So often we always work in 4-week cycles, and you can see this was a build week, and then he had an overload week. This was race week, so he just eased back on the training a little bit, took it steady. But the race was actually part of his training for that week rather than his A race. And then he had a slightly easier week the week after the triathlon to help him to recover. So if you're interested in that, we have different options. I'm assuming that you won't be able to come and see me for coaching. So most people who have remote coaching go for this option. And if you want to do that, we can have a chat. This is where I plan everything for you. We can chat as much as you need to, and I keep giving you sessions which are completely bespoke to your level and to what you're training for. So perhaps have a think about whether you might benefit from that. So thanks very much. It's been a pleasure doing your analysis. I hope you found it useful. Your stroke is really good. There's just those few elements to work on over the coming months. And let me know if I can help you with sessions and training or a training plan. All the best and happy swimming!